I like the way the fan goes off when you hit start.
It is nice, isn't it?
Well, you can control the speed of the fan.
I like it. All right, so
What we got going on here?
welcome to the, I don't know. I don't really want to, I think we just do it. No fanfare, no nothing.
No,
I mean,
we just said the
I'm
fan
just-
goes off.
I'm just thrilled that people actually ask questions,
Yeah.
you know, because you work on something like this we should just go. So, we got questions from people who watched the documentary,
Yay.
which does not suck.
No, it doesn't.
So we thought, well, okay, I don't know about you, but I noticed like a recurring theme on some of those.
Sure.
And people were emailing and just talking to us face to face. I had some phone calls. You had a couple of things. And so we figured, why not just answer them on here? It's YouTube, for crying out loud. Just throw them up on here and we can answer the questions, and then everyone can know the answers to those questions. Does that work for you?
It does.
I wrote them down and put them in a box.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? What's in the box?
Yeah.
So just grab one and go, and then I'll grab one and go. You're closing
And
your
the
eyes.
winner is... Oh, I wish I could remember the Oscar thing where they gave the wrong...
Yeah.
They gave the wrong
well,
Oscar.
they called it for La La Land when it was
Yeah.
actually for wow.
Big Lebowski?
No,
One Last Summit?
Moonlight.
Moonlight. Yeah.
I think they called it right there, but that's okay. Anyway,
Okay.
all right. So
All right. Question 1. What did Ken say to Skip at the end of the film? That's a good one to start with.
okay, yeah, let's just start with that. You wanna say your piece on that?
I say it's none of your business.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I was there at the bedside, and I asked him to pray for me, and it was one of those things where what was said was really beautiful in the moment, but the decision to take it out of the final film was to it felt self-serving. When you're driving the edit bus,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I didn't want to be in it in the first place. But because of you and a bunch of people that watched that early screening of the train wreck,
Yeah.
the reality was that I had to be in it, but I didn't want that to detract from anything else. And it felt like the way that it goes from there into the temple scene. Well, a friend of mine and I were talking about it the other night, and he, after watching it, the comment was something like, the juxtaposition between the music from Big Smith and the temple shots was almost like a Southern Baptist bulletin back in the 1980s, like what they wanted to be, with the beautiful flowers and the sun creeping through and all of that. And so it felt like a nice transition to just have him raise his hand up on my head and get out of there. But what he did say to me, if I can, I mean, are you okay with me spilling the beans?
Yeah, sure.
He said, he started praying for the film and that the movie would do well and that a lot of people would see it and all of that. And at the end, I said to him, I said, Ken, that's all nice and good, but I wanted you to pray for me to be more like you. And you remember what he said?
I don't.
He said, Dear Lord, help him understand he's already more like me than he could ever want to be, or something like that.
Yeah.
Which was a very sweet thing, but it just didn't really fit the film. And yeah, and I kind of hate that scene because for me I got robbed of an actual experience. Like, I have no memory in my mind of sitting there, first person, sitting at that bedside, having that prayer time or that time to talk with him. It's all gone because for 3 years I saw the two-dimensional representation of that moment.
Right.
And so it kind of, I don't know. It's done very well, and you captured it, and that's great. But for me, I feel like I lost a very special moment of my life in the mix of that.
Yeah.
So the decision to just shut it off and not let it be in the film was a good idea.
Yeah. I think it's more powerful unsaid. I think by that point, the viewer knows you, knows Ken, and I think the viewer will project something.
Whatever they want to.
Whatever they
that's
want
fair.
to.
Okay, cool. My turn?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to put this right here. No, that's yours.
This is mine. Oh, what did I shoot the movie on? What lighting did you use? Okay, so if we think about the movie in two parts, we had the stuff in Nashville.
Right.
In the studio.
And that was multiple people shooting.
Yeah, and there were a couple of pickups in Radnor and all that. But America and Thailand.
Okay.
So America studio stuff, had some studio cameras, Sony FS700s, studio lighting, that kind of stuff. But when we got to Thailand, we had to think long and hard about what to take.
Right.
Because
it was a crew of 2.
Yeah, it was a crew of 2. And crew of 1.5 and a cast of 1.5. Or, I mean, you were on.
That's fair.
Talent,
That's fair. It's a crew of 1.5.
Yeah. So I had to think long and hard about what camera system would serve us best, right? So I considered like handycams, like a really good handycam, that could autofocus and da-da-da-da-da. But I landed on the Canon 5D Mark III, which is the still camera that I've used for years and years and knew inside and out. So I thought that was the best choice because I didn't want the technical side of how do I get this shot to interfere with get this shot.
Right.
So that's why I chose that. If I could go back and do it again,
right,
I'd shoot it on that. But that didn't exist at the time. That's a C200. But so...
You're liking the C200
I
so
do
far,
like the C200. So, short answer is 2 Canon 5D Mark IIIs.
In Thailand.
A 16-35 f4 image stabilized lens from Canon.
Okay. A
70-200 IS Mark II stabilized lens from Canon. And a 24-70 2.8 Mark I from Canon. We had...
Are you trying to get Canon to...
Yeah. If Canon sees this and wants to send us... Yeah, right. Good luck with that. We used 2 GoPro, Hero 4 Blacks.
Oh, yeah.
Had 2 of those, suction cup mount, different stuff like that.
For like road shots and stuff like that.
Yeah. We had a Zoom audio recorder.
Right.
Had a couple of Sennheiser mics.
Yep.
Lav mics.
Yep.
We had a Steadicam.
And my iPhone.
And your iPhone 6.
There are 2 shots in the entire movie that are shot on my iPhone 6.
Put a link to the time code when they show up in the thing.
Yeah. That'd be fun. Yeah.
So
the first one happens at 0012.
Yeah, right.
No.
So anyway, so that was what we had. I took a tripod, a monopod, and a glide cam to shoot on.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
a couple of glide cam
right.
shots in there. So all packed down really small. And then lighting kit in Thailand, I believe is the oldest.
Is that a question that was on the thing?
Yeah, that's part 2. What lighting kit did you use?
Oh.
So in Thailand, we used a really old lighting kit. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's the oldest lighting kit in the solar system. It's called the Sun. So yeah, in Thailand, it was all available light. We didn't have a diffuser or reflector. No, it was all available light.
We couldn't pack any of that. And if you were to use something like that, who was going to hold it?
Right. Yeah.
Because if I was sitting, I mean, there's so many interviews that we didn't even get to put into the final thing, but I'm sitting over here doing the interviews. You're over there shooting with a 2-camera setup.
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to...
So there's
because you were literally sometimes running well, running. You were moving stealthily, if that's a word, back and forth from camera to camera.
Yeah.
Like,
So most times I had the wide set up on the tripod.
right.
And I had like the 16 to 35 or 70 to 200. And then I had on the monopod, the 70 to 200 to punch in and get the tights.
Right.
So I was going back and forth with that.
All right.
So face detection autofocus would have been nice. Because sometimes I left the long lens on the monopod, which has the little feet to hold itself up. Ran to the tripod, did a little back and forth. And of course, people rock and move and stuff like that. So, but it's a really good learning experience. Yeah. And I think it speaks to, like, the story is not the gear. Like, you've got to get the gear out of the way.
And just tell the story.
And tell the story. So, you know, I think that was a really good lesson to learn. And, you know.
All right.
So
next one. Nice.
Oh, look at that. Next one. Oh, how did the film change you?
Oh.
Exclamation mark. No, question mark.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. The film, I mean, you know, it from a spiritual standpoint, if I can get churchy for a second.
Testify.
You know, I feel like, you know, a lot of people are talking these days about like deconstruction, reconstruction of faith and all that stuff.
Sure.
I feel like my time in the making of this film and the edit of it and all of that was kind of a time for me to kind of tear it all down and rebuild it. Mm-hmm. And fortunately for me, in that process, you know, I had hours upon hours upon hours of my teacher helping me with that.
Yeah.
So the way it changed me was being able to sit at it, you know, to sit at the computer and stare at it for hours at a time, and then walk away from it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then come back and sit at it and sit at it. I think that's probably how it changed me, and I think it ended up making me more secure and more firm in what I do believe, and more comfortable and relaxed to own that there's a whole lot of stuff that I don't line up with, or I'm not quite, the jury's still out on, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that's how it changed me. And then getting to work in such close proximities with you, I think it did solidify a bond, a friendship with us. At least on my end. You might have a different story there. But.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I mean, I won't speak to the spiritual because...
You're not.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not articulate enough with that. But working with you for sure. You know, a lot of people go, "Oh, you got to go to Thailand for 3 weeks," and it's like, "Oh, but that was fun." It was like
it was fun the second time I went with my wife.
Yeah, but it was a lot of work. So that close relationship, sure, kind of forged in the crucible of 3 weeks of 15-hour day back-to-back, 16, 17-hour day back-to-back.
Well, I did the numbers one day. I was 16-hour days, and you were 17 and a half to 18-hour days. And the reason for that is you would get up every morning to record sunrises, and he would get up before the sun came up, have everything set up and ready to go, and you let me sleep, which I appreciate. But I think that part of that was, and I'm not just saying this, I'm not trying to defend myself, but there's a lot of energy that gets used from trying to be on camera and be aware of everything that's going on. So you graciously let me kind of sleep in on that. Yeah, you were hitting 18 hours every day.
And
easy.
I would just like to thank you specifically, but I guess to some little degree me, because I helped edit as well. I'd like to thank you for editing, for actually putting one of those time-lapse sunrises in. And I just will say, it was the first one that I did. So next time, if I'm getting up every morning to shoot a sunrise, tell me you got it the first time. You can leave that.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
And I'll just say, like, how else did the film change me? It's the first time I spent an extended period of time in a non-Western culture.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was good for you.
So
it was fun for me, but it was really interesting to watch you do that.
Yeah. So for me, to see a culture, how do I say this right? To see all the differences in a culture, these things that are just so, no pun intended, foreign to you, the similarities spiked out above that. Like, oh, everybody feels this way. And, these common core values are amongst everybody.
Yeah.
And they stand out in contrast to all the things that are so different.
Right.
Yeah.
Now my turn.
Oh, yeah.
What did the guy say to Ken in the car scene? Was that Thai? Yes, it was Thai. And all he was doing was basically giving a greeting back and forth.
Why didn't you translate it?
Yeah. That was an interesting thing that we got a lot, was people were like, why can't you translate what they're saying?
Yeah, you should subtitle that.
Yeah, and I had two reasons for it. I mean, number one, and it's my own soapbox, but we're so American and English-centric, by and large, that it's uncomfortable to sit and listen to another language and not know what they're saying. And I mean, just for my own mad scientist kind of inner workings, I was like, you know what? I want people to be uncomfortable for a minute. Just let them sit in the uncomfortableness. So what if you don't know what they're talking about? It's not important to the story. It's not moving anything forward. And I think that the thing that was more profound in that was you've got a man who is dying on a speakerphone in another country, talking to a man in a car going down the highway, in Thai.
Yeah.
Fluently. They're having a conversation. And all they were really saying was, hey, how are you? Good, how are you? It's been a long time. Haven't seen you. Hope all is... it's just basic chit-chat. And I like the edit of it.
Yeah.
Because really, if you think about it from the standpoint of watching it, it's only a few seconds after you realize, wait, I don't know what they're saying, that he kicks into English.
Yeah. And I love that. Like, they switched gears without a clutch. And they
they were both perfectly fine in the other language, and it's I thought it was more important to show Ken's ability to speak the language than it was for us, the viewer, to know what they were talking about.
Yeah,
I guess that's the short answer.
Well, why didn't you do that at the start?
Right, shut up.
All right, now we've got. How did you get the money?
Oh yeah, you can have that one.
Okay. So we did a Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah.
Thank you to all the people that gave to said campaign. We raised
$63,294.
There you go.
I think.
So we did that. And then we raised a little bit more through Seed and Spark to do some additional edit.
Yeah.
That's how we did it. So how did we do it? Ken's coattails.
Yeah, we wrote his coattails. That's all it was.
So
I mean, there's no way we would have been able to get the funds to be able to do all of that without his coattails. And some folks, and I'm not going to name them because they didn't want to be named, but there were some substantial checks that were written.
With zeros.
So with zeros to make that happen. And, they were putting their trust in us because Ken had given us kind of the attaboy, he had given us the introduction. Because they're putting their money into the pockets of people who had never done this before.
Right. Yeah.
Which is unnerving. All right. How many days did you shoot? And second question, what was your shooting schedule?
3 weeks in Thailand.
Yeah, and then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 studio days with Ken, and we had a shoot 6, 7, 8 8 days and...
So 4 weeks and change?
Yeah, basically 4-week shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was your shooting schedule? Well, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
In Nashville, it was whenever we could get stuff organized.
Right.
Like the Science Mike thing happened. Yeah. And then what we did was we basically, that was the last weekend Ken was going to be in town.
Oh, that's
so that
right.
Friday, we crammed him full and had him meet with several people. My friend Susan Baroni was on camera that day, didn't use any of her footage. Jeff Graham, our friend Jeff Graham, was on camera that day, didn't use any of the footage. Ken, or Science Mike, he and Mike McHarg sat down and talked for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
We used 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's that was our schedule. Yeah. And then Singapore was in the midst, but yeah. So there you go. How many more of these we got?
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
So this one's short. Oh, did Ken pass away?
Man, every time any time I'd find myself talking about the movie, that was the first question that everybody asked. Yes, yeah. Ken did pass away. He was able to do so on his own terms. We left Thailand in first part of November 2014.
Yep.
He hung on until early February 2015.
Yeah.
He got a little bit better, then he got sick again, got a little bit better, and then he finally passed away on, I believe it was on February 9th. Yeah, because I think it's a friend of mine's birthday, or is it the 11th? Early February. I really feel stupid for not knowing that right now, but that's okay. He did. He passed away in February of the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he got to do it the way he wanted to do it.
Right.
How long did it take to edit? And how much footage did you shoot? It took 3 years to edit.
Yes.
I think that's fair to really say.
Right.
And it was because we were both working other jobs, and there was no way that anybody could just sit down and just start editing. So it took 3 years to edit and finally fine-tune it to make it what it was. And then footage, what did we shoot? We overshot. I think it's safe to say we overshot.
No. We had 2.2 gigs, terabytes. And we had...
In high definition.
In high definition. If it's in 4K, we'd still be shipping back the hard drives.
Right.
And then so 64 funny. Hours of footage.
About 64 hours of footage. And it was so funny when we were in Thailand, the last day, I don't know if you remember this, but Anthony was like, okay, so I've got a backup here. I've got the original cards here. We could ship one back.
Yeah, we debated FedEx and a hard drive.
We could FedEx a hard drive back. That way, even if the plane goes down...
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if that's the way you want to start that. I don't want to go into this thinking about the plane going down. But then I finally looked at you and I was like, dude, if the plane goes down, nobody else is going to want to edit this.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Yeah.
But we did travel. One of us holding the hard drive and the other one holding the memory cards.
Yeah. Well, we had 2 hard drives, two
copies.
copies.
Yeah, 2 copies and the cards themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
My partner, Anthony, really likes to back up his backups.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
No, that's good.
All right. Is the movie chronological?
Oh, no. No, it's not. It's it goes all over the map. And a friend of ours actually is the one that kind of cemented that idea for us and said, no, don't do it chronological. You really need to end the film with him in the deathbed.
Yeah.
And I think that's... And he's not in his deathbed. I mean,
right.
he's in a hospital in Singapore, but we don't really know that as viewers. Right. So ending that way was really the best way to tell the story, and I think he was right.
Yeah. And the story had to have... And this is what I kept bugging you about from the start. Like, what's the narrative? Right? What drives this thing forward? That's why you had to be in it. You know, for me.
Okay.
Is we had to get the story forward.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to, speaking to the edit, I've thought a lot about, like, what's it like to edit a documentary? And I've described it like putting together a 500-piece puzzle
Oh, yeah.
when you don't know what the top of the box looks like. So you don't know what the puzzle's supposed to look like. Oh, and by the way, there's 60,000 pieces. And oh, by the way, the lights are turned off.
I thought you were going to say putting together a 500-piece puzzle with no photograph on the front of the box.
Yes.
No border pieces. And
Well,
there's 750 pieces available.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that would drive you nuts.
Yeah.
This was kind of fun.
Yeah.
So maybe, I mean, I don't know. If people ask questions about the docs, we'll do these little things. And let us know if you even want to see these kinds of things. And yeah.
Yeah.
We're not going to edit any of this, right? We're just going to hit.
No, hit the go button.
Okay, go.
May go publish now.
May go publish now.
We may edit the part out where I get up and hit the stop button.
When is that going to happen?
Probably about now.
Now?
Let's just not edit. Maybe they could see my face up close in all its glory.
Well, if it's got the face thing turned
I don't
on.
know if face detection's on.
Just go turn it off.
All right, turn it on.